This video contains spoilers for Takopi's original sin and topics of suicide and abuse, so viewer discretion is advised. Hey guys, Christian P. Plains here. Takopi's original sin is the most horrifying thing I've seen in a hot minute. I had pretty much no knowledge about the series going into it. I saw plenty of people recommending it on YouTube and Twitter, and it's garnered loads of critical praise, even becoming the highest rated ONA on sites like MyAnimeList and Analyst. And you know, obviously that's bound to change since there's a ton of hype for this season. Once things cool down, people are probably going to be more critical of it, but I was nonetheless intrigued. It's also been one of the first shows to finish airing this season, thanks to the shorter episode count. So I figured, what the hell? Why not give it a go? What do I have to lose? Everything! Episode 1 starts things off really strong. The art style is definitely the first thing that caught my eye. It's intentionally rough around the edges and super charming. I love how flimsy and scrawny all the characters look. The animation is incredibly expressive. I especially enjoy how sharp the line work is here. These characters look like they'd draw blood if you touched them. Hell, they probably got a little inspiration from series like Shin-Chan with how some of the side characters are drawn. There are also some absolutely beautiful painted backdrops and gorgeous lighting. This thing is an absolute treat for the eyes, man. It's adorable, it's charming, it distracts me from the nightmare that is the rest of this series. That's probably the most important one. Okay, so our main character is Takopi, or Nuanakuf, but I can't pronounce that. This little pink blob from Planet Happy, whose sole purpose is to spread happiness to the universe with the use of his happy gadgets. He eventually comes into contact with this 4th grade girl named Shizuku, making it his goal to improve her life in any way he can. Now I know what you're thinking, aw, that sounds really sweet. And I was thinking the exact same thing. But as I kept watching it and slowly started to realize how fucked up little Shizuku's world is, it gradually became so much more uncomfortable and horrifying. She is constantly bullied by these dickhead other kids for just existing, it seems. Her mother is rarely home to take care of her, with her only companion being her pet dog Chappie, which her dad left in the divorce. It's a lot to swallow at first, and only made worse when she one day comes home beaten and bruised, holding Chappie's collar. She asks Takopi to use one of his gadgets for the first time, which she uses to commit suicide. It's an exceptionally painful scene to watch that left me heartbroken and terrified, and it's clear that Takopi feels the same way after coming across her body, using a photograph to travel back in time in order to stop Shizuku from dying. And yeah, that's pretty much the show you're getting into. It's about a happy pink alien trying to stop a 9-year-old girl from killing herself and the complications that come with that. Sounds absolutely wonderful. But there's definitely a little more to it than that, as we'll soon see. The rest of the episode further establishes Shizuku's relationship with Marina-chan, who isn't exactly what I'd call friendly. In fact, most of the scenes with the two of them together are incredibly nerve-wracking. She throws Shizuku-chan's stuff away, makes fun of her for not eating, writes slut and die on her bag. It's really weird how the teacher just allows that to happen. Did nobody see this? Also love how her shirt says love. That was a really nice touch. She's like the human equivalent of naming your rabies-infested dog Sugar Plum. Even as they begin to outsmart her though, we get this paralyzing scene of Takopi disguising herself as Shizuku, and Marina-chan just beats the ever-living shit out of her. The fact that they made a 9-year-old girl the scariest thing on the planet is just yikes. This even adds more context to why Marina-chan is doing this in the first place. She doesn't see Shizuku as human because of her mother invading Marina-chan's home life. And what's really surprising is how the show manages to take Marina-chan, who is just beyond detestable at the beginning, into an actually kind of sympathetic character by the end. As we soon see, she lives in a harmful and abusive home, so it only makes sense that she'd constantly lash out at Shizuku like this. Not saying she's in the right, of course, but it's unfortunately realistic. I think what I like a lot about this show is despite the awful things these two do to each other and other people, it makes it clear that neither of them are evil people. Sociopathic and harmful, absolutely, but I think the show said it best by the end, by making things clear that no one is exclusively good or bad, despite how nice Shizuku was to Takopi. Again, I'm absolutely not defending the actions of the people in this show. People fucking die, people get murdered, that's like the worst thing ever. But if you went to school every day surrounded by kids who wanted you dead, if your home life was a shit show with no one to take care of you, or if you finally tried to reunite with your dad and dog, only for him to not recognize you and your dog nowhere to be found, I don't know if I'd have the willpower to make it through, and that's fucked, man. Does that justify what Shizuku does in reaction to these things? Hell no. But I kinda get it. Life's scary, and sometimes there aren't any easy solutions. None of the characters are monsters for the sake of being monsters. They're monsters because of the terrible world they've been put into. However, these aren't problems that are in their control, nor are they the cause of them. Shizuku and Marina's family issues aren't because of things they did. So acting out towards each other isn't helpful, and you end up damaging those who are already broken. Which is the message the show ultimately ends on. Shizuku and Marina do find a bond through Takopi, and while their relationship is still somewhat bitter, at least they have each other to help ride through whatever comes their way. It's a simple message, but certainly an effective and well-executed one. It left me comfortable after all the chaos. But it was one that I predicted beforehand. I don't know, I think I thought about it like halfway through episode 2, and that's more or less the ending we get. Again, not bad at all, it's still a really great message, and one I wholeheartedly agree with. I guess just predicting it beforehand left me a little unimpressed. While that is the main conflict, they aren't the only characters the show covers. Azuma-kun gets involved after Takopi and Shizuku end up killing Marina-chan. Don't worry about it, it's not that important. Where he decides to help them hide the body and help Shizuku get her dog Chappie back. Azuma is the only character with a background that isn't absolutely mortifying, but it's still powerful and emotional in its own ways. He constantly compares himself to his older brother Junya, who always seemed to have everything going right for him. He was top of his class, popular, and destined to take charge of the family clinic. But Azuma-kun was never able to live up to those standards despite his success in school. He was never able to get those goddamn pancakes! Even though his mom raised them both the exact same way, she can't figure out why Azuma isn't as remarkable, and eventually just gives up on him. And you know, compared to how the other parents treat their kids in the show, it doesn't seem too bad, but it's still a pivotal moment in Azuma-kun's arc. Feeling like he's disappointed everyone, no matter how hard he tries. Even Shizuku, who he starts to gain feelings for, because she looks like his mom. This IMDb page is starting to make a little more sense, but eventually he learns to open up to Junya in this really heartwarming scene between the two. Again, if there's one thing you should learn from this series, it's that we shouldn't antagonize each other so much. Does his side story involving him and his brother distract a bit from the main story? Yes, but it adds some much needed context to his character. And while some parts of it are still dark and depressing, it's able to offer us a bit of release at the end. Takopi's character is one of the most important. From the very beginning, Takopi's character represents a persistent, childlike obliviousness to how disturbing this world can be. I mean, at the beginning, we see how much he clashes with Shizuku's personality, with him trying to cheer her up with happy gadgets and her constantly turning him down. And there's obviously a loss of innocence that happens when he sees Shizuku's dead body, but he manages to keep smiling the whole way through. I was kind of worried that this would backfire on Takopi's character, that he would feel somewhat one-dimensional, and to a certain extent that's definitely the case, but there are still moments where Takopi breaks and feels helpless. And you feel he gains a greater understanding of the kids by the end of the story, and is able to truly help them. He's kind of a reverse straight man in a way, in a show where everything is trying to torture our main cast. It's a lot less of an emotional change by the end, but a worldview change for him. Like how blindly he's willing to kill some people, unaware of the consequences that'll ensue, especially with Shizuku thanking him for ending someone's life. It's a fucked up thing to watch unfold, but ultimately satisfying by the conclusion. Even if I didn't quite get the conclusion, I guess I'll talk about that now. So I think the series is supposed to end with Takopi talking to his mama about what should be done back on planet Happy, where he gets the idea to go back in time and become a doodle in Shizuku's sketchbook, which Shizuku and Marina-chan both recognize, deciding not to fight anymore. Like, I get what it's trying to do, especially with the time travel stuff in episode 5 establishing how Takopi was originally trying to make Marina-chan smile, so naturally they'd both have some sort of connection to him. But also, this is now a timeline where he doesn't exist, I think, at least not on Earth. He's just this silly doodle that causes the girls to cry and make up. Like, I get it, but it just feels like I'm missing something here, like they accidentally cut a scene that gave a little more context onto how this worked. Do they remember Takopi or not? I don't know, if you're smarter than me and able to figure this out, please let me know in the comments. Come to think of it, there were a few things that were just left completely unanswered or came out of nowhere. Like Shizuku telling Azuma to turn himself into the cops for her, that was never brought up again. Takopi's magical time-traveling camera works until it doesn't, until it does. But I guess I can suspend my belief a little bit for that one. This project is sadly not the most polished, but its heart is definitely in the right place. And these issues aren't so major that they ruin the entire story for me, it's still powerful as fuck. I briefly touched on the presentation at the beginning with the art style, but goddamn, there is so much more to it than that. The intro and outro are both adorable. They do not fit the show in the slightest, but that's definitely kind of the point. I'm always getting myself hyped up, ready for another awesome Saturday morning anime episode and get disappointed every time. I'd also like to give a shout out to the rest of the OST. I don't have anything to say about it specifically, but you know, I liked it. It's fun when it needs to be, it's sad when it needs to be, it's desolate and scary when it needs to be. It adds to the rest of the show nicely, even if it isn't something that particularly stood out to me while I was watching it. Except for that one montage in episode 3, I think that track really captured that moment in the story nicely, trying to be these really fun cutesy songs being held back by the unease of the situation the kids have found themselves in. But I absolutely have something to say about the shot composition here, because damn does this show know how to immobilize me. The scenes that are supposed to be frightening here are just so intense, man. These 3D-ish moving shots would look out of place anywhere else, but they add a trickling sense of anxiety to every scene they're in. Some of the shots in here make my skin crawl. The use of perspective and putting different lenses on everything. It's genuinely horrifying watching some of these characters lose their mind on camera. It's amazing. And it only adds to the chaos and tension that the rest of the show is constantly able to deliver. All in all, I really enjoyed Takopi's Original Sin. While it's not the most polished anime I've seen by any means, it's impressively well written for all 6 episodes. Honestly, my biggest complaint is that I wish there was a bit more of it. Again, there were a few loose ends that I feel like could have been tied up a bit better. So adding an extra 10 minutes to the total runtime probably would have done a world of good, but I still think the first episode is pretty much flawless, instantly hooking in everyone who needed a story like this. And even though by the end I don't feel like I got the whole picture I wanted, it was nonetheless a picture I was really satisfied with. I'd highly recommend it to fans of horror anime or those who want a more intense and challenging watch. It's definitely not for everyone, but that's certainly the appeal of it. So my final score for Takopi's Original Sin is an 8+ out of 10. Let me know if you'd like me to cover any other anime this season, and what you thought about Takopi's Original Sin down in the comments below. Yeah, bye! Good luck sleeping tonight.